ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। So in the last class, we were studying the 10th sloka of the 3rd chapter of Shrimad Bhagavad Gita, where we find that the concept of yajna has been introduced. So what the sloka was, Sahayagya praja srishtva purovacha prajapatihi anena prasavishwadhyam esha vostishta kamaduk. So the Prajapati, the Brahma, so having in the beginning created the humankind together with the yajna. What he said, by this you shall prosper. This shall be the milch cow, the kamadhenu, the milch cow of your desires. And as in the last class we were discussing, to have a very quick recapitulation, that synergy and symbiosis are the laws of nature. That's the rhythm. So when that ultimate reality, which is beyond any causation, because of ignorance, finds expression as this universe, then this expression is always bound within certain laws. In the physical world, we find the physical laws are there, which are universal. And even in our mental world, in our so-called day-to-day life, we will find that there are the moral laws. In all the religion, they speak of do's and don'ts, the commandments. And in the modern days, we think that they are just man-made. But as per the society is concerned, in the olden days, most probably they were applicable. They were not applicable in the present day. But we will find that by not following them, we do have the choice, but by not following them, we already have started realizing that we have done some historical blunders. In the present day, as per the environment is concerned, the global warming, the pollution, all this is because we never were aware of the fact of the synergy, which is the basic law behind the entire creation. So we were in the mode of exploitation. So we thought that by exploiting nature, we can prosper. So we were not giving importance to the concept of yajna. So as we were indicating that the evolution, as per the Darwin's theory of evolution, which is now an accepted fact, that there is, of course, the struggle for existence, there is variety, and then there is the struggle for existence, and those who are the fittest, they survive. But it was wrongly interpreted. In the 18th century, 19th century Europe, we will find in the philosophy of Nietzsche, the idea is that if there is variety and if there is struggle for existence, those who are not equipped to survive will in the long run perish. So why not to accelerate the evolution? We ourselves take the responsibility to annihilate those who are not up to, who are not there to cope up with the challenges of nature, that they are going to be extinct. Why not we? And we find the Nietzsche is saying that go back to the history. You see the Roman culture, the Greek culture. There is no question of cooperation. It was all cruelty. How cruel they were. And with that, they have shown their might, and they were at the apex of civilization, the glorious past. And when Swami Vivekananda went to the West, he was aware of those ideas. He was a very keen student of history. And he found that we have started, the so-called civilization, have started digging its own grave. He was saying that the entire Europe is as if sitting on the apex of a volcano to burst out anytime. Why that idea he found prevailing? That everywhere he found that the exploitation was the rule of the day. There was a competition for colonialism. That among the human, all are not same. Those race whom they thought to be not that evolved, they felt it's quite right to exploit them for our own, own evolution, own abhyudaya, their social welfare. And Swami Vivekananda in one of his lectures indicating that if the Roman culture, the Greek culture, which you always exemplify as the ideal of human civilization, if that was there, where are they? They become extinct. You are just citing the example of the days of their glory, but could they maintain it? They're gone. They're nowhere there. Where they were ruling, the spiders are weaving the cobwebs there. Nothing remains. It's just ruins and ruins alone. So where have they gone? And then we find in many places, Swami Vivekananda is vehemently opposing the way that Darwin's theory was being interpreted. And in the last class, we just indicated that he told that evolution never happened through the competition that you speak of. It might have happened accidentally in one or two places through competition, but the general norm of evolution is through cooperation, is through synergy. And in a very simple way, he gives an example. Just take the example of a theater, a full packed, that's full house theater, where some theatrical performance is going on. And suddenly there is an announcement that there is fire. Please move out, exit. And we find all becomes frantic. They're all running hither and thither. There's a huge chaos, there's stampede, only a few could escape. Most of them are just burnt alive. And there's a huge disaster. After saying this, Swamiji is asking, would you say that the few who escaped are more evolved? It was most probably a matter of chance. Most probably they were sitting near the exit. Somehow they managed. They have created the chaos and somehow they have managed. Such type of evolution do have happened in few cases, but that's not the general. The general norm throughout the history of the entire existence is what he's saying, that in the same theater, after the announcement, if the people would have decided, you will find even when you are in the plane, they say that in the case of mishap, that you have to form a crew. The same thing in the theater, Swami is saying that don't be impatient, don't panic, just calmly form a queue and try to come out of the hall slowly. If they would have cooperated that way, most of the people would have come out. And Swamiji is saying most of the evolution has happened that way. When Swami Vivekananda was saying this, the idea of synergy, the symbiosis, was yet to develop in the modern biology. They were yet to keenly study the nature to find out that it is, yes, the competition was there, but it's not that only those who were equipped better to face the challenges of life, they have evolved. There are many creatures who are supposed to be extinct, still exist because there was synergy, cooperation. To give a common example, that when the whale, who is a predator, when sometimes he will be simply relaxing with its mouth open, and the small fish know very well that this is the time when if we enter into the mouth of the whale, there's a reason why they want to enter. That the whale with its all the teeth with stuck up with all the flesh, the teeth like any other creature, that will get infected. It will fall off if it is not clean. The small fish know that now the whale has opened the mouth, is relaxing. It is the time, it's not going to devour us. It is this small fish they will enter, and it's their food. They will go on plucking up all those bits of fleshes which has got stuck between the teeth. And the whale will never close its mouth. The predator, though being a predator, it's never going to close its mouth. And this whale and this small fish, they exist together. Or the shark, it's not the whale, actually the shark. When the shark is moving, they're also moving with them. They never harm each other. They know it's a win-win situation. That we exist, you also exist, I also exist. Like that, innumerable throughout nature. There are innumerable examples of this synergy, which has resulted in the evolution. So as in the last class we were saying, if we take the meaning of yajna just as a fire sacrifice, it won't make any sense. It just mystifies the subject. That when God created the creation, he created humankind and he taught them this yajna, and you should do yajna. Yes, there are many who will interpret these mantras this way, but it has no, as such, it makes no sense. Yajna means here this idea of interdependence, this idea of give and take. In this society, I simply cannot just simply take without giving. This give and take is a basic principle of life, without which existence is not possible. So that nowadays we find, even in biology, they have started saying that our genes are altruistic. It's very interesting. A few decades early, there was a book which was really one of the best readers. The name of the book was The Selfish Genes. Just see how the ideas have changed. The selfish genes, the genes are selfish. It always directs us to be selfish. The same biological science has evolved to understand that no, it is not selfishness. It is altruism that is behind the law of creation. Because the law of creation follows altruism, not selfishness. Then are we not selfish? In the words of Swami Ranganathananda, we are all selfish, but we have to be that our selfishness should be enlightened. Enlightened selfishness. What is that enlightened selfishness? That I do want to exist, but for my existence, cooperation is required. To a certain extent, I have to go out and think of others if I really want my own welfare. For my own welfare, I need to help others. Just in India, I was in some of the very remote areas where a very common problem was there. What's that? That the road, as per the council plan, is supposed to be quite wide. But all the residents will start encroaching that as much as possible, and they will make a boundary wall. And as most of the people are doing, even sometimes council becomes helpless, because they know if they go and just simply use bulldozer, there will be huge, like a revolt, because most of the people have done that. And in the process, what has happened, that selfishness, that utter selfishness to get a little more land, have forced them almost to encroach the public property, the road. And very interesting, if someone of them becomes a bit rich so as to afford a personal car, they cannot buy. They cannot, the road is so narrow, the car cannot go. If there is a fire, in someone's house, the fire brigade cannot enter. If someone is sick, ambulance cannot enter. So our selfishness is at the cost of our own welfare. Why? We didn't have that idea of yajna, that in this society to exist, give and take is the basic law. We have to cooperate with the collective goodness if we really want our individual welfare. For the collective welfare, I have to take care of. And this idea of synergy is the what is being meant by the word yajna in the Bhagavad Gita, when this idea of yajna has been introduced in the 3rd chapter. So now let's proceed to the next mantra, next sloka. The next few sloka also will be elaborating on the same idea of the synergy. The 11th sloka of the 3rd chapter, what it says, Devan bhavayata anena. Devan bhavayata anena. That's Devan bhavayata anena. Te deva bhavayantu vaha parasparang bhavayantaha. This parasparang bhavayanta is the most significant phrase in this sloka. Parasparang bhavayanteha sreya param avapsata. If you want sreya, if you want the real good, sreya means that which is the best, that which is really good for us, that is sreya. But if you want sreya, that param sreya, the supreme good, if you want in your life, if you want to gain it, avapsata means to gain. If you want to gain the supreme good in this life, then what you have to do? Devan bhavayata anena, te deva bhavayantu vaha. So this is the idea which is spoken of. What is that? Cherish the devas with the concept, with this. What is this? This, the concept of yajna, which has been spoken of in the previous sloka. That is being indicated by va, this. So cherish that, make them glad, make the devas glad by this yajna. And let the devas also cherish you with this yajna. So this is the idea of give and take. So thus cherishing one another, parasparang bhavayanta. You think of my welfare, I think of welfare. This is the parasparang bhavayanta. So when we do this, that will result in the highest good. You will gain the highest good. So the sloka, once more we read, Devan bhavayat anena, te deva bhavayantu vaha. So that you cherish the devas, and in return, let the devas cherish you. And by cherishing each other, parasparang bhavayanta, by taking care of the welfare of each other, you will attain the supreme good, the absolute goodness, which has been the highest good, which has been spoken of. You will attain that by this give and take. So here we will find that the idea of yajna is the synergy, is the law of interdependence. But here now Bhagavad Gita will give a particular example. And that example is, of course, a very, very important example which even applies to our modern life. We are actually we are actually realizing its need more intensely at present than it was ever in the past. That's the example they will give from the next sloka. That's when we will find that what is saying that here the devas indicate the personified forces of nature. Like Indra, Varuna, what are they? They're the personified force of nature, personified forces of nature. That Indra, the god of rain, Varuna, the god of wind. So these are the forces of nature which has been personified. So you think of their welfare, in turn, they will think of their welfare. So it is again this question of this cooperation. Evolution speaks of the cooperation. Parasparang bhavayanta, take and give. You take something, but in return you give. This is the nature of the healthy, environmental relation. If you want a healthy environmental relation without give and take, only by mere exploitation, I can never survive. And today we are realizing it more intensely. You'll find all the evils of consumerism, this increased industrialization, global warming. All these are because we forgot that we have to cooperate with the nature. In our scriptures, they speak of Pancha Yagya, 5 types of Yagya. Bhuta Yagya is one of them. Bhuta Yagya. That even in our life of Holy Mother, we find a very interesting thing that after peeling of the vegetables for cooking, someone was going to throw the peels just in the bin. And Mother immediately told, why are you throwing it in the bin? They had this, that's the cows and all. So what you don't want, most probably it is needed by someone else. Give it to the cows. Don't throw it. Or you can, in the present day, we know that we are using it for that, as that we will be just fermenting it and then we'll be using it as a fertilizer. So all this idea that just only you don't think of exploitation, give something back to the nature. Now, this idea we totally forgot. In the 18th century, we find that Francis Bacon, when the science was making wonderful discoveries, a lot of inventions were happening. The quotation which we all know, what is the quotation that's very oft-quoted passage is, knowledge is power. We think it's a very, a very nice quotation, that knowledge is power. But the origin of it is something very, very devious. That Francis Bacon, when he coined this phrase that knowledge is power, the idea behind it was that the nature is like a very rich lady. She's a woman, that nature is a woman, and she's extremely rich. But she never wants to share her wealth. She won't give it to you. So knowledge is your power by which you can forcefully take away from nature what it doesn't want to give you. Dig in the ground, you get the wealth. Everything it speaks of knowledge. There's a land which can yield your crops. Use fertilizer, it will give more. So in all way, we were using our knowledge to exploit, to extract from the nature. And that was the thing which was indicated by the phrase, knowledge is power. And that became the mantra. That became the mantra of our civilization. That we were just simply extracting without thinking of giving it back. And as we always say, the society became carcinogenic, like a cancer patient. In the cancer patient, what happens? The cancer cells behaves in the same way. They take nutrients from the body, but they won't follow the dictates of the body. The body grows in a particular balanced way. It's that we find that all the organs, everything, they're all growing, but they're growing in a very balanced way. But these carcinogenic cells, they want to grow beyond this without following the balance which is already in the body. They want to outgrow. And that's how the tumor is formed. From the rate in which they're supposed to multiply, they start multiplying at a much faster rate. And that forms the tumor, that outgrowth. And then at last we find that with the death of the person, those cells have also died. So that's what is the situation which we are in. Even a few days back, I met a young boy, suddenly told that the old civilizations are barbaric. They have no culture. Isn't it that that in the present civilization is much more educated, much more civilized? So I asked that boy very calmly, just see this old civilization which you say are barbaric. They have no education, no culture. They were existing for 50,000, 60,000 years. That's what, as per history, we can trace back. For how long they're staying, we don't know. Just the Aborigines of Australia, we say 50,000, 60,000 years there. And we came, invaded them, they are barbaric, we are having culture. And in 200 years, we don't know whether we will exist another 100 years or not. Now say, who is more civilized? Who are barbaric? The barbarics are the one who comes and attacks other and at the same time spoils their way of living, and at the same time they don't know how to maintain their own existence. They are barbaric. So isn't it we who are barbaric? The so-called we who identify ourselves with the modern civilization, that it came and destroyed the civilizations which were there for thousands of years, quite well adjusting with nature. And then we come in the name of our education, in the name of our advancement, come and exploit them. And now we ourselves don't know where to go, that we are as if in the verge of extinction ourselves. This global warming, everything, we are like helplessly, we are just witnessing just the floods, the forest fire, the bush fire, everything. Nothing we have control over. With all our science, with all our technology, we have dug our own grave. In the name of liberation, woman liberation, we all find in this world a very interesting thing. With all this movement, we think is going to change the world. That for thousands of hundreds of years, there was a lot of exploitation, but at the present, you will find what? In the name of this all liberation movement, you go to house. Can you disagree to the fact that domestic violence has not increased? Family violence has not increased? What has happened? Because in the name of freedom, we want our own freedom at the cost of others. In most of the places, that's the you will find that the basic cause of all our suffering, I want my freedom trampling over others' freedom. We don't have that idea of let us respect each other. And in the present, you will find that this divorce rate, violence, family violence has increased intensely. Government has to spend a lot of money for all for coping up with all those problems. The present civilization, because of its stupidity, does all sorts of mistakes, and it is a diseased society, and government, to show its compassion, has to just take prevention measures, the cure measures, instead of taking the prevention measures. Why it has happened? Because there was no preventive measures. We have allowed them to happen, and now it's a fake compassion is what, oh, let us go and cure them. Where was the preventive measure? No preventive measures. The preventive measure is parashparang bhavayanta. Respect each other. In the present world, we think of equality, and that equality is like the equality of the crabs. If you keep what you say, that a number of crabs, say 10, 20 crabs in one, say a pot, the pot is open, that it is not covered, it is open, and the crabs are inside the pot. They can easily come out. They start crawling. It's a very interesting thing. These crabs can never come out. When one starts crawling up, the other will drag it down. And none of them can come out. So they all are inside the pot. Easily they can all come out, but they won't come out because they each are dragging each other, and they just have to be bound in that pot alone. In the present world, with all our so-called the culture and civilization, we will find this equality isn't just in dragging, nothing else. For everywhere we will find that people are very conscious about others' rights and privileges, and they think that is transgressing the social structure, and they will just use the law, use everything to bring others down. And then we are all equal. This is one way, but the Vedanta, the Gita, speaks of equality not by pulling each other, but by just raising up. How? By respecting each other. I revere you as a Deva, you revere me as a Deva. The God is within me, the God is within you. We respect, we acknowledge that fact that you are divine, I am divine. If you see the marriage ceremony, very interesting. There, the bride is supposed to think as the groom as the Shiva. And many I have seen has complained that, oh, our culture has, because after being influenced by this modern education, because this sometimes little learning can be a very dangerous thing. They say that I am supposed to think the husband as Shiva, and he has the right to exploit me throughout the life. I thought that's a total misunderstanding. Just if you go to the marriage rite, you will find a wonderful thing. You will find in all the so-called Hindu marriages, the groom, he will be having something sharp in his hand. It is either a knife, small knife, or it is called that, the betel nut cutter, something sharp in his hand. Many they just follow this ritual without knowing why is this something sharp is there. Even some things the Rajputs will be having the sword. They say it is just to show their valor. No, it is not. The significance of the ritual is very interesting. The idea is the man who is having the sharp thing, what it signifies, the one with whom I'm going to get married, she is Shakti. She is the feminine principle of the divine. With her cooperation, I am going to cut the bondage of ignorance, Maya. And this knife signifies that the bondage of Maya I'm going to cut with the cooperation of this person. So it is not that the bride has to think of the groom as Shiva. The groom has to think of the bride as the Shakti. This is the parasparang bhavayata. Have respect for each other. So that in the moderns, in the name of freedom, all the liberation movement, that idea itself is lacking. That my freedom is not at the cost of others. Let us try to accommodate. You will find in a small child, when he goes to the school, the father gives him some pocket money. When he comes back, the McDonald's is there to lure him. He enters, and whatever he finds, he takes. He never thinks. The moment he has the need for gratification, he goes and immediately gratifies. The same person, when he has grown up, he's married. It's not that the McDonald's doesn't lure him anymore. Still, it lures him. And now he has more money in his pocket than he used to have as a student. But when he now really feels like having something, the moment he is approaching, now he's a responsible person. The first thing what happens in his mind, his family's members will come into his mind. My son, my daughter, my wife, they are there. So what I do, what he will do, he will go and buy the things, go at home, share with them. A small child, the irresponsible child, was just satisfied in gratifying his own, all the so-called the gratifications. But the moment what speaks of the responsibility has grown up, he's sharing with others. This parasparang bhavayant, if it is not there, the society cannot exist. That the basic law of the society of any civilization is renunciation and service. As Swami Vivekananda used to say, Tyaga, Seva. That this man who is now a responsible family member, he renounces his own desire to a certain extent. Yes, not, and service. First, let me go and just serve it to others, and then I also take along with them. So this is the idea of parasparang bhavayanta. And for that, we should have patience. We should have to practice that. As Sri Ram, in the present society, that immediate the need for gratification. As a child, when he is growing up, the parent thinks just whatever the child wants, let me give him. They are almost pampered. They never learn the art of the patience. That it is not that everything I want, I will be met with immediately. The same child grows. Whenever he finds any obstruction in the way of this desire, he's a tremendous rage, because he has never learned. He was pampered. He was never learned that it's not that what you want will be given immediately. The law of nature is not like that. All our violence is because of that what I want, I do not get immediately. That let us think of others' welfare. Let us, to a certain extent, sacrifice my own, that feeling of goodness, that always I want to be good. It never happens. And this fight leads to where? That as we are not respecting each other, most of the time, I think I am as if burning in a frying pan. I think I have to get rid of it, and I jump, and where I fall in the oven. We all, in the present society, in the name of freedom, we are constantly jumping from the frying pan to fall in the oven and find the situation is still worse. So that's why Sri Ramakrishna, that so-called, as per the modern way of education is concerned, he is illiterate. He's not illiterate, but that's what we generally define him. That's such an illiterate person. What nice thing he's saying, that in Indian alphabet, there are 3 S. 1 S when you are pronouncing, when your tongue touches the teeth, upper teeth, upper jaw. So that is one pronunciation. Another S with a hissing sound when the middle of your tongue touches the top. And another S when your tongue rolls to touch the top. Sh, sh, sa. The 3 S. Sri Ramakrishna has his own interpretation that why there are 3 S. Sa, sha, sha. Because then he used to say that after pronouncing these 3 S, sa, sha, sha, he used to say J, shoy, she, roy, J, na, shoy, tar, nash, hoy. He could play pun with the words. Just see how nicely this is very difficult to translate in English. J, shoy, she, roy. The one who can have the patience, who can forbear. The one who can forbear. He, Roy, he can preserve himself. He preserves himself. He exists. He exists. The one who can forbear, he exists. J, na, shoy. The one who cannot forbear. Tar, nash, hoy. He's playing pun with the words. He gets destroyed. The one who cannot forbear. The basic principle of this life, that if I really respect others, I accept it, that yes, I'm ready even to forbear some of the so-called trivial, some difficulties in my life for the other. As long as that idea is not there, at last our life becomes a crooked journey, very crooked journey. As that story we have repeated so many times, that in a hermit used to stay in a small hermitage, and so many people used to come for counseling. So one day one person came and told, my life is shattered. I've been betrayed by all. Everyone betrayed me. So I cannot believe in anyone. My life is totally shattered. So this hermit took this person to the backyard of the hermitage. And fencing of that backyard was with the maple trees. And this hermit took that person near a maple tree, which was extremely crooked. Its growth was crooked. It has not grown straight. And this hermit explained that when I purchased this property, these maple trees were already there, but they were all saplings. They were small. The previous owner thought that instead of using stump, he used these small saplings as the stump and nailed some barbed wire on them to create that fencing. And now the trees have grown, and now you see this tree has grown extremely crooked. Why? It was always revolting. That's why something should be nailed on me. It was constantly revolting. It never accepted the fact that something should be nailed on me. And its growth is so crooked. And now you come. He took him to another tree. The barbed wire has passed to the core of the tree. This is now a very big tree. The trunk has grown very thick, and the barbed wire has just gone through the center, and the tree is straight. And this hermit told, see, this tree accepted the fact that it is going to be with me. I cannot escape from it. It is going to be with me. As he accepted, it has not in any way hindered its growth. What's the thing? In life, challenges will be there. As human beings, Holy Mother used to say in very simple words that in your kitchen, when you keep the utensils together, there will be some tinkling noise. They will clash with each other. So when we as a human stay together, we all are unique. We are not the same. We have varied temperament. There will be some conflicts and cooperation. That doesn't mean we have to simply fight and separate. These conflicts are okay. But at the same time, if that idea of parashparang bhavayante is there, that I respect the divinity within you, you respect the divinity within me, and then we are ready to forbear that small, trivial difficulties of life, then our growth can be like that straight tree, where there is that it has not become any way crooked. That's the lesson which we have to learn. These perennial philosophies are something which cannot be simply thrown in the trash box. It speaks of the laws, and they are real laws, because laws, it can be, if anything can be broken, that is no more a law. Law means that cannot be broken. If I try to break it, I will be shattered. It is not going to be broken. That's just as that we always say that gravity is a law. If you say, I don't believe in gravitation, you're not going to fly. You jump out from a 20-story building thinking, I don't believe in gravitation, I will fly. You're not going to fly. You will fall down and just crash and die. So similarly, this parashparang bhavayanta, based on the concept of yajna, is a law. With that, he has created, the Lord has created this creation. Saha yajna prayasashtva. Unless following that law, we have that attitude of parashparang bhavayanta, where we respect each other, so that we follow the law of give and take, that you cherish me, I cherish you. There cannot be any existence. We will be destroying the nature, we will be destroying our relations. We will be just everywhere there will be destruction. Destruction within the family, destruction in nature, destruction in society. Countries will be fighting, war between the nations. Everywhere you will find that everyone out of greed, when it thinks of only me. All the so-called this international fights, is everything because of this idea of me alone, which leads to this type of destructive war. All the civilization, which we brag of, has at last helped us to invent this arms of destruction, nothing else. So sophisticated there. They can just simply kill us. They can simply annihilate the entire civilization. Is that the product of our civilization? Is that the product of our knowledge? So there we find the scripture very plainly saying, this is the law. You cannot break it. So to follow the law, have this idea of parashparang bhavayanta, give and take. So this is the thing which has been spoken of in this sloka. The next sloka, what it says, the same idea is being repeated. Ishtan bhogan hivo deva dasyante yajna bhavita tai dattan apradaya ebhya yah bhunte stena evasa. So devas, being cherished by the yajna, will give you the desired for objects. Ishtan bhogan. Ishta means desired. All the bhoga, the objects of desire which you desire for. So the deva will give you, dasyante will give you. Yajna, why they will give you? Being cherished by the yajnas. So just see this limited idea of yajna is being exemplified as the law of the entire universe. So they will, by being cherished by the yajnas, that what you are offering, they will give you back. Tai dattan apradayibhya, the one who doesn't, what you say, who enjoys the objects, without giving to the devas, without offering in return, they are verily a thief. Yo bhunte stena evasa. So if you just take the yajna, it means that after giving, you can have the prasadam. That when you are having a worship, if you take it in a limited sense, that yes, that whenever I have something to myself to have to relish, I bring the first fruit, the first mango of the season. Without taking it directly, I offer it to the divine, and then I have it as the prasadam. So here the idea of give and take is there, that I offer it to the divine and then I'm having it as prasadam. But this is a limited sense. It is also good. It's not bad. That it helps to sublimate my emotions. It helps to sublimate my passions. That the simple greed is getting converted into devotion. It's good. But here, if you take the yajna in that limited sense, its purpose, it will serve a very limited purpose. Yes, it will help me to grow spiritually by transforming, by sublimating my passions into devotion. That I like something, I offer and then have it as a prasadam. Then what happens? The thing which I like, that I'm having, but now the devotion has got linked with it. So it's good. But if you take in the idea of yajna with which this Gita has, Bhagavan has used, you will find that it is not that limited yajna. In the next succeeding slokas, the idea of yajna will be elaborated with an example that will speak of yajna, which is not meant in the limited sense, which speaks of some chakras, the cycles, the oxygen cycle, the nitrogen cycle, the rain cycle, all these cycles that will be cited. The rain cycle will be cited by Bhagavan, Sri Krishna, in the 14th and in the 15th slokas. We will be just proceeding to them gradually. So he says that unless you are following this idea, then what happens? You are actually like a thief. Without offering, those who just devour all objects of senses for their own enjoyment, for their own relishment, they are thieves. And you must say, no, I have what I have acquired, whether I offer it or not. I have the right to enjoy it. No, even in the present society, they will say it is not the fact. What you earn, do you have the right to enjoy it totally? No, you have to pay taxes, isn't it? You have to pay taxes. We have to think of the collective good. If you don't pay tax, the one who steals, he is a thief. The one who doesn't pay tax, isn't he a thief? He's also a thief. That's the idea here. That if you are not paying the tax, you are a thief. That you have no right to enjoy without giving the due which the society has. So you have to pay back. When I was in Fiji, the Fijians, they had no idea of cultivation, but still a wonderful way they used to thrive. How? That the land is very fertile there. So they will go, they will just get the tapioca very easily. That it grows like anything. But when they are harvesting the tapioca, very interesting. There itself, they will again plant a few of them there itself. If they just harvest the 10 of them, 2 of them they will plant it there. And then the rest they will take. Because they know that from that, again, I'm going to get my next harvest. So though they're not doing any planned way of cultivation, but it was there for thousands of years. They were doing the same thing. So unless you are giving back what you get, you are a thief. That you will be resulting in the mass extinction of the flora and the fauna. If everything is for me. The present, we had this COVID. The present COVID, we'll find a wonderful thing that which now that all the scientists are becoming aware of the fact that the extinction of the flora and fauna can affect us in the form of viral infection. In the present day, the viral infection has become rampant. One after the other, it is coming. The reason, with the extinction of the flora and the fauna, especially of the fauna. Now, there are various viruses who actually feed on, they thrive on some other animals. And and those animals are not suffering. Means as through ages, this virus, they also want to survive. So when they find a host, at the beginning, it will be havoc. It will be at the cost of the life of that person, because they will go into the body of the host, start multiplying, and that person gets infected and dies. But gradually something is called endemic, that they will start coexisting, because even the virus knows that if that person dies, his life is also over. Because it is thriving on that person. So if it has to find out a way where both coexist. Now with the extinction of a particular fauna, a particular animal is extinct. Now this virus will try to find a new host, and it will take time for it to really again coexist with it. In the process, that there will be thousands of casualties. And that's what is happening. The present day, all these viral infections which has become rampant is because of the mass extinction of the species which has already started. So again, you will find that we, in the name of exploiting the nature, is killing us. It is just killing us in so many ways. That if you are still the law of the society, you will be punished. A thief cannot go without punishment. That's the thing. If he's caught, he's punished. And that's what is happening. The nature is punishing us. And that punishment has already has started, is going on. This is all these viral infections, which is threatening the very existence of the human species. That is a punishment. Punishment in the form of the global warming, in the form of domestic violence, in the form of pollution. In so many ways, we are being punished because we are stealing. We are stealing in two ways. One, we are exploiting the nature, and sometimes, and in another way, we are not paying the taxes. We don't give back what we get from nature. So what is required is this understanding with the nature, with your other beings, with your relations. If that is not there, if that instead of understanding, if it's exploitation, it is at the cost of your own existence. And that is a law which Bhagavan is speaking again and again. So follow that law. Don't become the master. Don't think yourself as the master of the universe. Know that you are just a part of a bigger game, just a part. Play your role there and be detached. That's the idea of karma yoga from a much broader sense. Bhagavan is building in here. That you are a part of a bigger game. Be aware of that bigger game and just play your part, and don't start grabbing too much. So there, that the question of nispriha, the detachment comes. That I just play my part. I am aware of the bigger picture. In that I have a role to play. I do to sustain myself, get from the nature, but I have to give it back because that's the law of nature. If I simply try to grab, I become carcinogenic, I die, and I also destroy others. So this is the idea Bhagavan is gradually developing through all these slokas, one by one. So this 13th, the 14th, the 15th, the 13th sloka also, what it says, yagya shishta, the remnants of the yagya, after this offering, what remains, that you have the right for that, yagya shishta, that the remnants of the yagya, ashina, the eaters of the remnants of the yagya, santo muchyante sarvakil vishay. He is freed from all the sins. Yes, in many of the religious beliefs, we find that we shouldn't take food just for our own self. First, we offer it to the divine, and then we take, and then we become cleansed. If you take prasada, it's a good idea, and a limited idea is very good. But we have to expand it in the idea that, what's the idea? That again, that after offering, that whatever I have got from the society, that my education, everything, it is a society which has provided me. I am now a responsible citizen. My intention is to first serve the society, and whatever remains for me, if I take that, then I am cleansed from all the sin. And otherwise, bhunjate te tu aghang papa ye pachanti atma karana. But the one who cooks food only for themselves is committing sin. It's not only the food. His idea is that whatever you are enjoying only for yourself is resulting in sin. So that's the idea which is spoken of in the 13th sloka. We will go on this discussion. These discussions are very, very relevant for not only this present days. It is relevant for as long as as we exist. Any creature on this earth exists. These are relevant because they are the basic laws of nature. We forget them. The nature has its own way to work because the laws cannot be broken. They will go on working. And now we have to decide what we choose, whether to follow the law or to break it. That we have to choose, and that will decide our destiny. So we will go on with the discussion of the succeeding slokas, which follows in the same line of thought again in the next class. With this, we stop our discussion today. Thank you all. Namaskars. Yeah.